Do, 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 do. We need a new song or hire someone to make a song for us. Do, 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 do. So I think we are live. I'd like to say hello and welcome everyone who's here to join us and those who are watching. Let me introduce. I swear, we gotta get Dragon an icon now for
Yeah.
for next season. But we got Dragon with us as sound only one.
Woo!
Say hello, Dragon.
Hello.
We have Jessica.
There.
We have Vinny.
Present.
We have Sean.
Hey.
We have Albert.
Nyampasu.
Nyampas. Looks like there's myself right next to him. And then we have
You'll get it. You'll get it.
Neo.
There you go. Hey, everyone.
I forgot about Neo. So, we're here to talk about the end of the season of 2022, summer. And just goes to shows that we thought were fun or just terrible. So, we're going to start off with title, I guess. We're going to go in alphabetical order here in the shows that we've listed, that we've seen. And start with Cyberpunk, which I believe is YouTube, right? Or no, sorry, Netflix.
Netflix.
Why did I say YouTube? Netflix. So since this is Sean's only title, let's have him start.
I came to this because everyone was talking about it. It seemed to be the must-watch of the season, as far as I can tell from the outside. I just go on Twitter and there's just like reams of fan art of the characters. It's a Trigger show, and I watched it in a couple sittings. And it might be the best Trigger production, bar none. I don't know, some people really like Premiere, but Cyberpunk is Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Edge Runners is engaging, from start to finish, like just total, like no boring episodes in that thing. It's a total blast. Every episode of it is well produced. There's no bad looking episodes. There's lots of nice animation. All the design work is very charismatic. And it might be like I'm trying to think of like this used to be like a staple anime genre, right? Like in the 90s and 80s, the kind of retro cyberpunk thing. I guess back then it wasn't so retro, but at this point it's kind of retro. And there hasn't been a good one in a while as far as I can recall. Like if you count Psychopaths, like that one's all right. If you count Summer Wars, which is kind of a stretch, that one's pretty good. But otherwise, like nothing really comes to mind as like this is a good cyberpunk anime. So I don't know. It was nice to see Edge Runners, even if it's kind of a blast from the past kind of thing at this point. It's based on the video game, but it's like a story that takes place in the world of the video game. It's not a direct adaptation of the video game. Neo was telling us that it takes place 2 years before the events of the game. Like I only played like a couple hours of that game, so I wasn't that familiar with it. And I didn't feel like I needed to play the game to get Edge Runners. I feel like there were some threads that kind of felt like they were there for the sake of connecting to the game. Like there was a bit about like one of the main characters is this like born hacker, there's like created in a test tube and like raised to be a hacker or something like that, and she's trying to like I forget what this is that a thing from the game?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I figured. Because eventually she runs away from this quest, but her ostensible purpose in life was to like hack this thing, and she wasn't able to hack it, and then she ran away, and then got wrapped up in the story of Edge Runners. But otherwise, it works as a standalone crime story. There were some things I didn't like about Edge Runners on like a thematic level, but you know, it's hard to talk about that without totally spoiling the ending of the thing, so I'm not going to do that. At least not yet. But as a consumer report, like, I would recommend this show. It's definitely the most entertaining anime I've seen in a while.
I can add more to that if you're fine with that, Sean.
Yeah.
So, my opinion on Cyberpunk Edge Runner was pretty much first episode, you were introduced to this crazy society known in Cyberpunk, and that, like, it probably helped me being that I had already about 40 hours into Cyberpunk 2077, but pretty much, like, from the get-go, the way everything works in Night City is explained. It's this crazy place with different gang wars and set of rules and, like, companies or corporations that are controlling other things. So as, like, someone that hasn't been introduced to Cyberpunk, I can definitely say that Cyberpunk Edge Runners is, like, a really good introduction to the whole world of it. They definitely kept each episode interesting with different scenarios that happen. And I gotta say, they paired the music with each moment really well. Like, I'm pretty much hooked on one of the songs that they added in the anime, but it's the anime really did capture how deep the whole society is on, like, I guess kind of how do I put this? Just how dark the cyberpunk world is, and they really did capture that in the anime. So I'm really surprised they didn't, like, censor it out or, like, tone it down. So that's a good thing in my books about this anime. So it was a good watch for me.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's not toned down. It is toned up as far as it can go. This is like the closest thing to Dead Leaves I've seen from Machi since Dead Leaves. So yeah, there's lots of, like, sex and gore and ultra violence. And it leans into the Night City stuff, or the world of Cyberpunk 2077, in terms of just being like, you know, they took the cyberpunk genre trope bucket and just, like, you know, slathered it on.
A little cool thing that I thought that was really interesting was after the anime had finished, they announced on Cyberpunk 2077 that they added a small little DLC to continue after the anime. So it's like kind of like a little Easter egg they added in the game, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
So I have a few questions.
Go ahead.
Did Keanu Reeves make a cameo?
No.
Unfortunately not.
No.
No Keanu Reeves.
And also, like, how long were the episodes? Is it, like, were they the typical 1 hour stuff that they usually have, or?
No, it's 10 episodes, like 24 minutes.
Yeah. I don't think it was, like, yeah, I don't think it was long or anything. It was pretty standard. It's just 10 episodes though.
Did you feel that the episode count was long enough to tell the story? I've heard both ends, that it was, you know, the perfect length versus it could have used a lot more character development, and the last, you know, from episode 7 to 10 seemed really rushed and too condensed. Yeah. So
I think it's like they didn't have a lot of time to cover, like, side characters and world building. So the peripheral stuff isn't very fleshed out, but the main stuff is all there. You know, so it's like the perfect length to just cover the main story. But I could picture, like, a 13 episode version of it, you know, instead of being 10 episodes. that would have like, here's an episode, you know, devoted to these side characters, because there are moments when like major characters die and you're like, oh well, barely knew that character, so you know, that, like, I feel like would have had more impact if I'd known them more. You know, if they had an episode devoted to themselves, so they could, you know, raise a few more death flags or whatever.
There was
a
one
lot of
thing
those.
I was just gonna say there was one thing that I did notice. There was like a not a major time jump, but there was a time jump, and you're noticing differences in characters and roles changed, and like maybe like they could have added that transition to like Sean was saying, give more in depth to characters. 10 episodes, I feel like they got the story across, but I can definitely see how people would think it would have been rushed.
Okay. Yeah, I'm of the opinion that you know, 10 worked out really well for the main story, but the time jump and that, so there's a time jump, and then that part is probably only a couple of months, I think, maybe half a year at most, but the rest of the story is really condensed, and that part seemed rushed to me. So the last 4 episodes seemed a little rushed. But overall, yeah, for personal enjoyment, I you know, it's probably around the 8 or maybe a 9 out of 10 for me. But if I'm recommending this to people, I really think everyone should watch it, because I had such a good time with it, and it is probably Trigger's best production. Everyone talks about how well the production is and all that, but I was brought in by the story of the characters, especially of the main character, David Martinez, and you could see his character progression and story arc, and all the faults and the mistakes and the wrong decisions he makes. And you know, if you are familiar with the cyberpunk genre, where it's the corp always wins, right? If you keep that in mind, this entire story makes sense. There's also in Japanese cinema, there are Yakuza films, and it's almost a trope where the young brash Yakuza, you know, it's the rise and fall of that character. That is a Yakuza film. So if you keep that in mind, I think it makes sense how the story progresses, and it is a dark world. Cyberpunk was, you know, a very dark world brought about, and that is just the way the story goes. And I'm kind of glad they stuck to their guns and went with the full story, and didn't go. If this was made by popularity, I mean, you hear all the complaints all over on YouTube and things that you try to ignore, but people are complaining about this and that character and this and that story, and they're only praising the production and all of that. But I'm just glad that Trigger was able to make this with the backing and cooperation of forget the company that produced 2077, but
CD Projekt Red.
Yes.
He's a Polish game developer.
They put the money forward, and they were able to make this with Netflix, you know, throwing in some money. I don't know the behind-the-scenes production. I think that would be an interesting thing to look at, but they were able to do this without a whole lot of interference, and it shows. They were able to just shine. I think it's probably one of their best works since Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, I mean, that was a Gainax
Trigger.
even though it's made by those people. You know, so that's why I'm able to say, like, this is the best thing Trigger's ever made, because you're like, well, what else has Trigger made that's actually good?
Well, that's pretty hard.
So the bar's kind of low.
I don't think I've watched enough to know.
Oh, come on, Space Patrol Luluco was great.
Yep.
So yes, it's a strong
Right
recommend.
up there with Inferno Cop or
Oh,
Thank you guys for that. I'll definitely have to check it out. I was kind of putting it on the back burner because I don't have Netflix on my tablet and stuff, or my phone, so I usually watch anime at work when I have some time. But I'll definitely have to watch it this weekend.
It'll go fast.
Yeah, it's a blast. Like I watched the first 3 episodes like one day, and then I picked it up the next day, and then I was just like on the roller coaster. It's like it just got to keep popping them, you know. It's
It should
Can't
be.
go
I
to
watched
bed yet.
2 episodes a day. I also wanted to say that so this Netflix, it's multi-language. I did actually check out a couple of the different languages besides Japanese and English, and I actually found French to be pretty interesting with English subtitles. Although a lot of the in-game or in-world slang terms and things that they say I didn't quite get and was kind of jarring for me. But it was an interesting experience. I did not find German or Spanish, the other languages I listened to for an episode, to be really meshing well with the characters, and some of the volume seemed really off. But French, I recommend you check it out. It kind of fits that noir, techno noir genre. So that was an interesting experience.
I didn't
You
even
know, you're-
think
you're-
to check out the other languages.
You're making me remember that, like, I felt that the subs were kind of off. Like I don't know. Like I kind of downloaded it because I don't have a Netflix sub, but I think what I watched was just a straight Netflix rip. So presumably it's the same subtitles, but the subtitles were they were wonky.
Well, that's because
And-
they were using like the lingo of the world. So a lot of the terms were, well, not a lot, but there were a fair number of terms that they were using that was, in world, and just like you would go and listen to, instead of learning proper English, if you just heard all kinds of slang thrown in, you wouldn't quite get what they were saying, right? So,
Yeah, there was that sort of like cyberpunk jargon, but
yeah,
it's also like I was watching it with with the Japanese audio, and
Yes.
a lot of the subtitles didn't match what they were saying in Japanese, just around the edges. So I've found it, if you know a little bit of Japanese, I found it helpful to watch it in Japanese because it kind of like, I don't know, you kind of get more of the meaning between the subs and the Japanese. I don't know.
It was certainly interesting. Even the Japanese subs, which is closed captioned, which was interesting because it tells you who is speaking, right? Their names and everything. But if you watch the Japanese subtitles and was watching Japanese, some of that doesn't match. Just like if you were listening to the English and watching the English subtitles at the same time, they don't match. So there is that. It's a difference between the script that they translated versus actually dubbing, having to change certain words or phrasing or all of that. So anyway, I'm just saying check out the French dub because it was interesting.
All right.
Yeah, that is one of the benefits of Netflix. That if you want a good laugh, you like switch it to German or whatever. Hear the severe German versions of all the characters.
Reminds me of Tripoli.
Oh yeah, yeah.
If you're out there, Tripoli, we miss you. Join us. Next up, we got a show that's been out there forever and just keeps on going and going and going. Don Machi. Season 4, which I'm actually surprised with its episode count because it says it's only 11 episodes. And I feel like they didn't end it properly. Like, I thought there was going to be a whole nother core. So I'm wondering if this is a split core, what's going on, because
I believe it's a split core.
yeah, I'm hoping, because I didn't see anything to indicate that they're done with the arc that they're on, and it's just really puzzling on what's going on. But of course, if you're a fan of Don Machi, you're probably already watching this. If not, you definitely have to go back and read the previous, or not read, but watch the previous shows, because there's a lot of character introductions, and also you can see the growth and Belle Cranell, and this is I think it's moved from Crunchyroll on to High Dive. So High Dive was simulcast in this, and so far I've really been enjoying it. All the characters have grown, and with the new relationships, now they're tackling the lower levels of the dungeon, and they're now into, I think they're calling it the mid levels now, and having to fight new opponents. And of course, there's still a lot of things in the dungeon that are going haywire and that are causing them problems, but this latest arc was pretty crazy with going back to, I don't know if you guys know who Ryu is, but the elf in the show that works at Mama's Diner, or whatever you call it. It's going back to her story and what happened to her clan and continuing on with her story. So that's where it's kind of ended right now. So I don't know if anyone else, I don't think anyone else is watching this, but it's been pretty fun, and I still love Don Machi. It's really good to me, and but there's a lot more, and there's a lot more, how do you say it, death in this show compared to anything we've seen previously. So I'm kind of surprised with what's going on, and can't wait for the next core. But I don't really want to say too much, because you should just go watch it, and if not, then I understand, because that voice actor's everywhere, right? So people got
Madoka. Yeah, so the next core is 2023, January 5th is when it'll start.
All right. Oh, so they're taking two. No, that'll be winter, right? So yeah, they're just skipping the fall.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
It's a split core. It's pretty. I think it's becoming more prevalent as you see with trying to catch up with the productions. They just 2 cores just back to back is really hard. It seems like so. Split core is much more manageable in terms of production. I don't know how that works out in the long run in terms of getting paid and sales of things, and it's just a different economy in the anime industry, and they just haven't caught up with streaming. Yeah, they're still focused on sales of goods, so the industry is in a very tough place. But anyway,
Yeah.
so
So
Machi season 4 core 2 will be in winter.
all right, thank you. So I
Do
guess.
they
Oh, what?
Oh, sorry, I just heard. So it's definitely worth picking up on, because it's been on my watch list to check out, but I haven't just been bothered yet to watch it.
Are you just talking about season 4, or the whole thing?
What you watched season 4, part 1, right?
Yeah, season 4. To me, it's very entertaining. I think I liked it better than the previous season, the third one, and yeah, this one is really good. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know if it's because of the gap between seasons that makes me kind of forget what happens, or that feeling I had, and everything's like, oh yay, we're back and we're starting all over again, and gets me hyped up. But this one's, yeah, it was decent. It was really good.
I'll have to dedicate some time to watch it, because I didn't mind the previous season.
But yeah. Next up, we have Engage kiss, which surprised me a little bit. I thought it was just going to be some kind of rom-com silliness that, they fight demons in the city, and every single episode's going to be the demon of the week or something like that, right? But this show really went in a different direction from what I was expecting. And I'm going to say spoilers because it's kind of hard to talk about it without spoilers. But the reason they call it Engage Kiss is that in the show, this town is being attacked by demons, and they have special groups that are out there to fight these demons. And it just so happens that one of the group, or this one individual who made his own company called Shu, is in a contract with the demon to fight, and whenever he needs to use her powers, they engage in a kiss. And it gives her the power up, and he's able to fight along with her to defeat these demons. Which is, okay, that's decent. It's not something that interesting, but what makes it interesting as you go on, and very kind of weird also, is that you find out that every time he kisses Kisara, he sacrifices some of his memories. And so the more power she uses, the more memories he loses. And it brings this whole new thing into it. And it's just because this, I can't remember what's Ayano, I think, is the other girl that he used to be in a relationship with before he met Kisada. At the beginning, she couldn't understand why she was with him and why they were doing this. But then once she learns that he's losing his memories, and that's why he's kind of distant to her, or certain things that happen with him that she can't understand why he would forget these intimate moments. And it brings this whole new thing into it. And it was just, I don't know how to explain it. It was just so interesting to see how she was struggling with this, and how she also tried to use this knowledge to her advantage in some areas. But that whole story arc with that and the memory loss made it a lot more interesting to me than just a normal rom-com. I mean, everything else is pretty much the same as you would think. They fight the monster, yay. Introduce a new girl, yay. But just that whole little thing there kind of changed the show for me and made it a lot more entertaining. What did you think, Vinny?
It was okay. If you're a fan of a rom-com, love triangle with a little bit of action thrown in there, then sure, it pretty much check up all the boxes. I just don't have as high opinion as Tank does in terms of this series. I think the part of the problem is I'm keep comparing with the other series that A1 was working on for the season, and more I think about it, less and less I became impressed with the series from overall. So there's that problem. It's not necessarily to say that Engage Kiss was any bad. Just that if you're not fan of rom-com plus actions plus a love triangle plus a little bit of the occult kind of elements thrown in there, then it's probably not going to be something that you would want to watch it. You might probably watch first 2-3 episodes, and that will be more than enough to really figure out whether you want to watch it or not. And to me, it was something of a middling series. I just have a feeling that in about 2 years, nobody's going to really remember this series anymore.
What do you think, Dragon?
From what I remember, because I wasn't there all the time when we were watching Engaged Kiss, but like I remember watching the first episode and I was like, okay, it seems all right. And then I remember like some of the more like later episodes. I'm like, huh, this was like going in a whole direction I did not think it was going. So I'm definitely like, if I got some time, I'm probably gonna try to do a rewatch and actually see what led up to what happens later on. But it seemed like okay at first, and then later on, it kind of piqued some interest in me.
You have any words, Neo? Or
So with Engage Kiss, like this season, there was a few anime that didn't interest me from the get-go. Engage Kiss was definitely one of them. I wasn't too interested in this sort of anime. It had an interesting concept to it, and it got more in depth with the scenario that the main character's in, and there was definitely some really funny moments in this anime, and I think the way it was all, like, it all ended was quite satisfying. But I wasn't overly excited for this anime with each episode coming out. It was just kind of, when you're watching a bunch of anime, you see it come out, and I was just, I'll watch it. So it was enjoyable, but I just didn't have high expectations or that much for it.
oh, you're one of those lucky ones that just has time to be, I'll watch it. Everyone else is struggling to finish a show. Yeah, but yeah, I guess that's Engage Kiss. I mean, it was fun, I would say. I would kind of recommend it for a watch if someone asked me. Would it say it's the greatest? No, but it was entertaining to me, and it was fun. But like I said, just because of how it changed throughout the show, and it surprised me. That's the biggest thing. I did not expect where it was going to go, where it went. So next up, let's see what we have here. Hataraku Mao-sama? With 2 exclamation points.
Yes, the second season of The Devil's a Part-Timer.
Oh, this show.
Yeah.
I'm just playing. I did not finish this, tell you the truth. I kind of got disinterested in it. Did anyone finish it?
I also didn't finish this, mostly because I was just following our usual like anime night. So I just watched whatever anime night, and then if we didn't watch it, then I didn't really like bother as much to try to catch up again. I just was like focused on things that like really piqued my interest, and like for a bit like this kind of just fell off for me. I'm like, I'm not as interested as I thought I was going to be. Yeah.
Looks like Jessica watched all of it.
I did, yeah. I'm a big fan of the books, and I got into the books via the first season. And to kind of put it in perspective, the first season only covers the first 2 light novels. This season covers 4 light novels with an original story in there too. And so the pacing is just way too fast.
Okay, that's why I was kind of like, what is even going on now? Because like I was like, there's so many things that are coming in. I'm just like, it's not like really doing anything great for me. I was like, I'm not following.
No, I think they really dropped the ball. At first, I thought it was going to be okay in terms of pacing, because the 3rd volume is the one where they meet Alice Ramus, and most of it has to do with childcare, and there's whole chapters on buying the right sunscreen and stuff for her, which I don't think would make a very interesting anime. So I was okay with how they trimmed the fat on that. But then the 4th volume is really interesting and has a lot of moving parts, and they condensed it down into 2 or maybe 3 episodes. And I was just really shocked that they did a speed run of the content in the novels. And I feel that that's probably the reason why it's not as engaging as the first series, because there's no time to let these concepts that they introduce breathe or to hang out with the characters. Because a lot of the books is just them hanging out at the bachelor pad, getting into trouble and having fun conversations and things, and that's just not present in the anime.
Yeah, one thing that I noticed with this anime was, like, I had seen the first season, obviously, so coming into the second season, it was still kind of like experiencing it all again, because wasn't it quite some time since the first season came out?
Yes.
Yeah, it was like 8 years, I think.
Yeah, so...
That sounds right, yeah.
So, Devil is a Part-Timer kind of left my mind, so it was kind of like introducing the whole anime to myself, and I found it really hard to watch. I don't know if it was like the pacing was slow or there wasn't much going on. Because I've only seen up to episode 10, and I can't really get myself to watch 11 and 12. The only way I really watched this anime was practically binge watching it. So that's my whole like thought of this anime. It just wasn't engaging enough for me to continue watching it.
So I do have.
And I was just gonna say that's a completely fair assessment. They really dropped the ball on this one.
I had a quick question because I'm not too. I don't remember too much of what actually happened. Like, I remember the first season had at least 3. Or at least I think it was 3 kind of entertaining battles and fights that happened that were just exciting to see them, use their powers and use them to fight. I don't think that really happened in anything I saw this season, did it?
It usually is. There's an antagonist. Mao shows up, his theme music plays, and then suddenly the fight's over. They're not interesting to watch. I'll say that much. In fact, I'm trying to rack my brain to see if I remember any specific fights, and I can only really think of one when they're in the beach area.
I was
Wasn't
about
really
to
a
be like, I
fight
think of the
anyway.
beach one. And
Yeah,
then,
it wasn't a fight. I'm just, yeah.
And the only other one that I remember was the one where, like, who's the new angel that shows up? Like, he comes and, like, blows a hole into the bachelor pad, and then, like,
Gabriel.
Amelia... Is it Gabriel?
I think it's Gabriel, yeah.
Okay, well, like, he blows a hole into the bachelor pad, and then, like, Amelia goes and, like, fights him, and then, like, that's the only other battle I remember.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. They're really lackluster, as you can tell, as we struggle to remember them.
Yeah, like, the biggest fight I remember in, like, the first season was when, they were all versing Lucifer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that whole, like, catastrophic moment in that anime, that's what I remember from Devil is a Part-Timer.
I still remember
fight scenes,
that
that is.
fight, and
Yeah.
also the one with Belle. That's her name, right? The girl with
Crestia Bell. Yeah.
It's the one where, like, it's with Belle, and then it was the other angel, the one that surprisingly gets all, like, fattened up from eating McDonald's.
Sariel.
Sariel, yeah. It was like Belle and Sariel, and then they, like, fight and, like, take what's her name? Chio, right?
Chiho, yeah.
Yeah. That's the 2 fight that I remember from the first season.
Yeah, so the first season, which I only watched once when it came out 9 years ago, I can remember those 2 fights. I don't want to say clearly, but they had more of an emotional impact on me than the fights, if you can even call them that, in the new season. And it sounds like you guys are also the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think I kind of fell on this one, because, like, although their story and their lives was entertaining, it was fun to see the conflicts and stuff that did happen that were just showcased how powerful Mao is and everything. And, you know, because, you know, he's usually this kind of dorky guy.
Yeah.
So having him every once in a while become this, like, massive, you know, overpowered trope thing was very entertaining and fun to see how he got through the conflicts. But this one, I was like,
I feel like most of the problems from the second season were more of a modern problem, like how he was dealing. He wasn't dealing with like out of this world sort of problems, so it was very modernized problems, and I think that might be why it didn't have such an impact for me, at least.
yeah. The only thing that I thought was that actually stuck in my head was how Mao talked about the demons and their armies and how they felt. So you kind of got their side of the story of why they were even attacking and stuff like that. But yeah, not much else to say. Let's just go into the next show, I guess, huh?
Oh wait, I did want to make a note that it's the whole animation style change. I don't know. It just like I think sometimes it was like I could get through it, but then like sometimes like the animation just looked really weird, and I was just like, they really downgraded from the first season. And I was like, I don't know, but that was also another thing that was kind of making it hard for me to watch at some times, was like I kind of missed how it looked from the first season, and the second season just was like making it a little harder for me to continue watching a bit.
I bailed
you're
at the first episode because it just didn't look like a quality production on top of the style changing. So I'm not that surprised to hear that like the fights are bad or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not good. But they did announce a season 3, I believe. So
They're making
Oh, really?
season 3?
They are. I don't know if I'm gonna want to watch it, though, in all honesty.
I
Are
don't
we
know.
gonna
Like,
get
I
another
done.
6 years later?
So, so I don't know if anyone knows, but Jessica mentioned to me that there's like 20 books, right?
21. I just finished the last volume.
And they've only gone through what, 6?
Yes. Because they did 2 volumes for season 1, and they did 4 volumes and an original storyline in season 2. So we're up to volume 6.
So there's plenty of content to keep on going.
read the novels or read the manga, I would say, because it's not good. This season was not good, and it also had yet again a hilarious bear animation, like hilariously bad.
I forgot about the bear. Yes,
You blocked
Derpy
it out,
Bear.
I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
The bear was horrible.
At least
Not
it
as
wasn't
bad
a
as
CG
Golden
horse.
Kamui, but yeah.
I forgot about that too. So next up, we have a show that I think you guys kind of ruined for me.
Oh no, wait, which one?
We're not going to say much about Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. I just remember after discussing with you guys and you telling me how terrible it was, I just felt like maybe I should watch this, and I didn't pick it up.
I was not interested in this anime.
But oh man, I love this manga. The manga was so fun. The manga was so entertaining. And I was like so hyped about this, and I was watching it, being so happy, and then I heard you guys talk it down so much. I was like,
You should have just kept watching it.
I kind of feel like I should finish it, but I don't know. I just felt like, I guess I don't know. I felt down.
Aww.
But yeah, not much about to talk. Read the manga, if anything, anyone. Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, if you thought it was
I'm
okay.
surprised a lot of criticism puts you down like that when it comes to watching anime.
Well, I don't know. Just something about, I don't know.
Well,
I
I
what
think
were
it's
you
a
gonna say?
continuation into fall season now. So there's still time for you to catch up if you want to.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Just binge watch it.
I should. I think I've only seen the first 4 episodes.
Probably on its own, it probably is quite interesting. But like, I guess the biggest problem when you're watching so many different seasons in like, you know, so much anime in one season, you kind of just like, there's always that one unfortunate anime that just gets dropped off because there's something that's just way more interesting.
I see. Well, talking about way more interesting, we got this show. The Harem Show, right? Ooh, yeah. What, Jessica, you didn't watch this? This was the anime of the season. Like, everyone
Sus.
watched this. I was surprised by how far they went.
Is this one of the ones that has multiple versions depending on?
Yes.
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 I actually watched the censored version every once in a while because it was just so funny how they censored it. Sometimes
There was actually there was just one episode that I thought, oh, I could have just watched the censored version because nothing
Yeah.
happened.
Like, I remember because like Neo's like, oh, like, is it okay if like you share this time because I don't have the high dive, like in case of those like things, and then we watched it and there was like nothing like in that episode, so Neo was then like, oh, I could just watch this on the censored site and it would have been the exact same thing. But yeah, they went like full on in here. And like it's still considered an anime, which is surprising.
There's a
yeah,
reason
so
why they censored
Harem and the Labyrinth of Another World. What can I say? You got through 12 episodes with Roxanne and what was the other girl that they just kind of added?
I don't remember because she was like a last minute addition, so I didn't have enough time to like really put her name to memory.
I think it was like Seri or...
The dwarf one?
Sherry.
Yeah.
The dwarf
Yeah.
one, yeah.
You know what I thought was funny? I saw on Twitter that people were pitting up these I fixed your design things and they made her dark skinned.
Okay, stupid Twitter. Frick. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
So they had those stupid tweets, I fixed your anime by changing the character
Yep.
to be more whatever, how they feel it should be. But
Yep.
yeah, if you're watching this show, definitely I would say this is not for kids. There's a lot of sexual content. Especially that last episode. Whew.
Oh
And-
my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, it was really awkward watching this with a bunch of people, and
Uh-huh.
Why would you watch it with
What he
people?
says.
because we were watching this series as a group.
What?
Yeah,
Frank
we're-
will not drop this series whatsoever. He will insisting on watching it no matter what.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
One week he forgot to download the episodes, so as while we are watching something else, he'll furiously make sure that he got the uncensored version.
Say no more.
But it's I don't know what to say about it. I mean, I like the characters.
It's a dungeon crawler disguised as a softcore porn. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
a story to this. There is a story.
Somewhat.
We'll say that much.
I think
There's
the
a lot of
ultimate
plot.
yeah. I mean, I think the problem with this series was that at the beginning, it's almost as they're envisioning multi-core series, like at least 2 seasons long. So they spend too much time going through all those nitty-gritty details of dungeon crawlings and all the technical aspect, and then realize that, oh crap, we gotta wrap it up by episode 12. And at the opening sequence, there's a whole bunch of girls that I guess in the series that shows up, and yet by episode 10, there's a barely one, plus a second one getting introduced. So they hastily wrap up at the end of episode 12 with about 2 minutes of all those girls that everybody's
Yeah.
wondering, where are those
Yeah.
girls thrown in there just in case it never gets season 2. So pacing
Yeah,
was
that-
awful.
That was kind of surprising how, like how Vinny said, by episode 10, 11, you get introduced to a second character, and then there's just a whole montage of 2 minutes of, like, him going and creating a harem.
Like buying all the other, like
yeah,
buying like more slaves, and then also like meeting new people and just like building his harem.
And
then
out
it's,
of those 2 minutes, 1 minute and 40 seconds was all the sexual acts.
pretty much, yeah.
It's so problematic. So, in the title, there should have been, like I said in the preview, there should have been slave harem, right? Because he buys all of them, and none of that is addressed. And I don't know what it is with Japan and slavery right now, but there are way too many slave this and slave that, and none of it is well dealt with. So there's that. And then the adaptation, like everyone has said, is not very good. Mainly because you only get 2 girls by the end of the harem, and then they supercut and montage the entire thing, which makes it even more grosser. And then half of the show is all about RPG game mechanics as he figures out, I go into a dungeon, I fight these monsters, they do this drop, and how can I maximize my drop rate, and how can I maximize selling it and get my 30% bonus discount, and all these tedious, uninteresting game mechanics, and what is supposed to just be an ecchi show, a problematic ecchi show. So yes, I did watch it. Yes, I did watch the ATX version, and I pretty much hated every minute of it. So it is highly, highly problematic, and I just cannot recommend the show. Go watch High School DxD.
One thing I found quite funny about the main dude, the protagonist or whatever, was like he would do something like a game mechanic and then turn around and say, what was he saying? Like, keep it a secret or don't
keep it a
mention it or
secret.
something.
Mhm.
Yeah.
like don't mention it to anyone else. Like this is
Yeah. It's just like if you got $1 for every time he said that, you'd have many dollars, but it's just he said it so many times.
So, like, which is better, this or redo of Healer?
Neither.
I didn't even
Neither.
watch Radio Healer.
It's like one does not have that whole sexual violence portions of it, but then it brings a whole problematic aspects of a slave as your harem thing. And just piggyback on Albert's talk of what is wrong with Japan. It's almost as if the creators and the writers found the perfect scapegoat to just let their fantasy go amok by throwing, it's an isekai, it's not based on real life. Therefore, whatever I said, you guys should not be taken too seriously. And I think that kind of went a little too much with this series.
All right. Next up is a show that every single week I was excited for, but was always disappointed because no episode came out. Isekai Oji-san.
Yeah.
Was there only 7 episodes right now?
I think it's still up to only 7 because they haven't released any new episodes yet because they've been delayed again.
It looks like they just announced that it's going to continue to the next season, so no
is
clue
it?
how long we're going to be waiting for.
Well, I mean, we're already basically into the next season, so
Yeah.
Although I
but-
think it's October 8th. I think that's when the next one should
is that
drop.
when they're gonna be okay?
So
I'm not 100% sure about that, but they did announce that, a schedule, at least on Twitter, and I remember seeing October 6th or 8th rings a bell. But I can't remember if that's when they are planning to show the new episode, or if because they've been doing a rerun during this time. So, yeah, they've been just rerunning the first 6 episodes or something while they were on hiatus due to, COVID problems. And besides that, I'm pretty sure they have production issues besides just COVID. So it's kind of a tragedy because it is a hilarious show.
Yeah.
It breaks all the tropes of, the isekai protagonist and the OP character. I mean, he's still OP, but it's just his otaku cluelessness about real world people, social interactions, right? All of that just makes it a very funny show to watch. And it is very cringy, but it is very funny.
This was definitely one anime that I was looking forward to each episode. I remember seeing it announced, right? And it just like you see the banner or poster or whatever you want to call it, and it looked so bizarre, and like you can't really like wrap your head around another anime that's similar to it. And like it was said, it was like really cringy in some moments, but it was just so enjoyable and refreshing seeing something like this. And I hope we get new episodes sometime in the future when all is well on their end.
So let's go ahead and go on to the next one because we'll probably discuss this next season if it finishes. Next up is another. Is this like our 3rd isekai in a row?
Looks like it.
Isekai, or how do you say this? Isekai Yakyoku?
Yep.
Parallel World Pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll let you guys talk about it, then I'll add my stuff at the end. So, like, Vinny, what did you think?
Outside of problems that I had a bone to pick with at the beginning of the season, otherwise it was fine. Quality was pretty good. The way it was drawn and how it progressed remind me a lot of their prior series, the Saints Magic Powers Omnipotent. I was keep getting the same vibe, maybe because it kind of has that sort of medieval fantasy European style to it. So the main character, who was a pharmaceuticals researcher, kicked the bucket in prototypical overworked Japanese salaryman style, and got isekai into this world as a well-to-do family whose family's tradition's been becoming a pharmacist, and he got the gifts of the prior knowledge from the modern world, plus he got blessed by all this OP stuff from the gods and what have you. And so all the hijinks comes along, but then his whole mindset of this throughout the series is that, well, I don't want to waste this gift that I was given to me, so I'm gonna make a good use out of it, which is fine and dandy. So it tends to be a little bit boring since the main character is kind of a goody two shoes and there isn't really too much of a moral dilemma he has to face. His approach on some of the real life issues based on historical perspectives, like Plague, Black Plague, is kind of interesting if you have any interest in those type of historical lessons to it. Problem is that this runs into typical isekai problems where solution tends to come a little too easily for the main character. So there's that. And otherwise, it's a very pleasant series to watch. Good time spender if you're interested in, isekai and pharmaceutical items and such and such. So that's my take on it.
So I'll just add my point of view to this anime. I really liked this anime when it first started, and I was quite enjoying it. Like the main character had I guess a set goal. Before he was isekai, it gave us a backstory of the way he is, and then just like Vinny said, he overworked himself to death. Then wakes up in another world and then learns how the world works, and then through circumstances realizing, oh wait, I have powers now because I was isekai. I found that the start of this anime was enjoyable, but near the end of it, especially the ending, I was very unsatisfied with the ending. It was cool, like seeing the different circumstances happening in that time period, and yes, because he was from a more advanced timeline, he knew how to deal with it. But sometimes when something is solved really easily, it's very, I guess, anticlimactic, especially when they build up for it, and that's why I was very disappointed on how quickly it ended. I would say it's enjoyable, but I feel like there's similar isekais to this show that quite possibly had done it a bit better.
Okay, so yeah, this show was decent. I mean, it did okay in its storytelling. They did skip some things, I believe, and change some parts when you compare it to the manga. And but overall, I thought it was a decent show. One thing bugged me, and I don't know why it bugged me so much, which was the main character, Felma, and how he talked. Because he always talked like he was whispering. And I don't know why. It just bugged me so much. But I guess other than that, everything was decent enough. I mean, I know what stuff they skipped and what stuff was changed, so I could still enjoy part of it, but I thought the ending was really strange how they changed it so much compared to the manga. And I don't know, was this based off of a light novel, or is it just... I think it is the light novel, so I wonder if the light novel was different from the manga as well, or why they decided to change it so much to how they ended it. But as far as the manga is only like about 4 chapters ahead of this show, so it'll probably be some time before they maybe adapt more or continue on, if they did. But yeah, the whole Black Pig arc, I think they kind of rushed, because it kind of seemed like it went a whole lot longer in the manga, but other than
I know how
that...
true this. I was just going to add to your thing. I don't know how true this is, but apparently the source was the light novel.
Okay. So we'll see how it is, but I'm gonna have to see if I can find the light novel and see how different it is. But other than that, it was okay show.
I was recommended it to by like Neo and another person, so I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I was like really enjoying it at the beginning, and then like the ending came around. And I was just like, okay, wow, that was a kind of letdown of everything.
Supposedly, you know Yui from K-On? That's the voice actress that did Velma's voice.
Oh, that did Pharma, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I did not expect that.
Okay, now let's see. Let's go to the next show. Unless you have something else to add.
Nope, nothing from me.
All right. Finally, getting away from Isekai, we can go to just a pure fantasy show. I think. Am I skipping something? Doesn't look like it. So next up is Vermilion and Gold, right?
Vermilion and Gold, yeah.
I kind of dropped it. I don't know. It got boring to me.
I like stopped like I think a little under halfway, and then like I just didn't really put in the effort to try to catch up to probably where like Anime Night was still watching it.
So Vinny, Neo, how was the ending? Was it good? Was it satisfying?
I'll let you go, Vinny.
Oh, sure.
I'll let you go into this one.
Tossing the hard one at me. It was pretty much what you expected. You know, he has to live, she gets spared, you know, move on to the next grade, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, actual problem never really got resolved. So it kind of opens the door for the sequel. Although I'm not sure if I'll ever watch this again. It's pretty much what you expected to see it happen. No big tragedy of any kind whatsoever.
Yeah, like I can agree with it was alright. Like it seemed interesting when you see the first 3 episodes. You get a like understanding of how the whole academy works and his position and all that. But one thing that I found is practically as you're going through episode to episode and finishing even at the end, it starts to get more, I guess, lovey-dovey between the 2 characters. There is obviously a third wheel, and there's some interesting action moments, and some interesting sort of, I guess, antagonist. But by the end of watching it for myself, it didn't hold true to the expectations that I thought I was gonna get from this anime. Like, it was alright, but yeah, just like Vinny says, if it came out with a second season, I don't think I would watch it either.
Poor Vermilion. So next up, we got oh my god, this show.
Oh,
I don't know what to say about this show. Where is it? How do you? Kumi. Oh, there it is. I found the title. Sorry. Kumicho Musume to Segawa no Sewa Gakari.
Oh god, wow, that is hard to say. Sega Coward. Oh wow.
Or Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting.
That's why I just say English titles.
There you go.
Yeah. Let me see who saw this. No, not many people. Oh, Albert, I thought this would be a nice healing show for Albert. Anyone want to say anything about the show? I mean, other than it's just.
I mean, like, it's just like got lots of wholesome, but then also tragedy. But like, it was funny because we would feel like so like wholesome, like happy and like wholesome like throughout the episode, and then right at the end they just hit us with tragedy and like, what the frick, we were just feeling so wholesome and now you give us tragedy like right at the end, what the heck is going on? But I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just, it was very cute and wholesome, that's all.
Yeah, there's not much to really say because like it's like a Yakuza babysitting, and it's like it shows like I guess backstory into like characters, and it's, you know, it's cute and wholesome. It has its moments where it's either tragic, sad, or, you know, it's like, for me it was enjoyable. Yeah, there's not really much I can say about it. It was just really cute and wholesome.
That's what I'm having a hard time trying to explain the show. I mean, I don't know. There's something about the show. It's good. I really enjoyed it. The only thing I can really say is that I think it was episode 3 when he has to go become a YouTube thingy or a streamer.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that.
Oh my god, that was one of the funniest things ever to me. Oh, it was so great. But other
I thought that was a joke episode.
Oh, I love that joke episode. I don't care about if it was a joke. It was just so good. Oh, it's so entertaining to me. But it's, you know, Toru, who's like the first lieutenant in this gang, right? The Yakuza. Because of his violence, he has to now take care of the oldest, or the only daughter, I guess you could say, Yaika. And he's prevented from doing violent act while he's doing this, so it's a way to try to calm him down. And it's nice to see the change in Toru as it goes along. And, you know, you have that really good wholesome moments where he's learning how to deal with Yaika's problems as she's progressing through life. You know, issues with her mother, issues with her family always being busy and her being alone, and issues with her in school and becoming friends. He helps her along, but not in an over aggressively way. And you just see her grow, and it's very pleasing to watch her. And like they said, they do have some kind of like hard moments where Toru is conflicted or sit with issues where he has to battle stuff he's done within his past with Yaika. But other than that, the other characters we are introduced with, his friends and others, people that help support Toru, it's just a really fun show to watch. And if you have some free time and you just want something that's just very uplifting, I think this is a really good show to try to watch, because I found myself, you know, smiling a lot in this and just being like, oh my god, this is so good. Especially I think we watched it after Riko to Sirikoyo, so some of those moments were like really harsh. So going to this, I was like, nice relaxation. Next up, which is another isekai we'll go to. Which is, I think, terrible. I finished it either way.
To put it mildly.
Yeah. What do you call this again? Kuro no Shokanshi, or the Black Summoner. I had issues with, I think it was the third episodes where they had the fight scene with CG. And it was just terrible, terrible, terrible. But I decided to continue on. I mean, there were some things I really wanted to see because I've read the manga and I wanted to see if they played it out the same way or how they might have changed it. And I was actually pleased with how the rest of the show is going. And surprisingly, with this book, or this anime, they toned down quite a bit of the sexual stuff that happens in the manga. So I was surprised because usually shows like this, they have all those ecchi moments for the fan service and things like that, but they kind of toned it down compared to the manga that I read. And everything was going decent, and I thought, okay, this is going to end on a nice note. But then that last episode, they had to bring that CG characters back into the fight, and it looked terrible. Oh, it was so bad.
It reminded me of the Overlord Season 3 ending.
I kind of...
So you...
Yeah, I kind of felt they let me down.
So this anime, so it pretty much snowballed, did you say? Like, it just wasn't that great? Because, like, I watched episode 1 and just was not interested from the get-go.
I don't know how to explain it. The storyline is somewhat decent, and it's okay. It's just that some of the visuals that they used and effects that they went with was just dumb. And while the character, and it's one of those isekai with the character being kind of overpowered, he's become strong and very big figure within the nation he's in. But what makes it different from other shows with the overpowered characters is rather than trying to hide or suppress his OPness, he's more of like this guy that's like a big battle junkie. He wants to fight stronger opponents, stronger enemies, and just he's constantly just like, I want to fight, while also increasing his harem. And yeah, I don't know. I thought the opening was entertaining to watch, though. But other than that, I don't know. It's not a show I can recommend. I'd say read the manga. But anyone else have anything to add to this?
I tried to read the manga. I gave up on it.
Yeah, I mean, okay. The manga's not all that much different from it.
I mean, yeah, that's not gonna have a CGI fight scene, but
I remember when we were first watching this, and then we saw that CGI fight scene. I was like, okay, yeah, this is, yeah, no thanks.
Kind of sad when CGI fight scenes are perceived like that. Like, it could be grand, but for some reason it just isn't.
See, so I have no problem with CGI. Like, I've watched a lot of shows that have. It's just that when they don't blend it well, is where it bugs me.
Well, you kind of want it to be more like Land of Monsters and not Beast War.
Yeah. Like, even what was it? I don't know. I'll have to come up with some examples later on, but there's just some shows that do it decent and way better. Or
Skeleton Knight did it, and I didn't find that jarring whatsoever.
Let's go to the show that I think it's kind of the anime of the season compared to how much people talk about it. I don't know how it ranks in the official ranking of shows, but Rikoris
Well,
Recoil.
I think there's another anime that we'll probably talk about is, I would say, more of the anime of the season, but this is definitely like a runner-up, I would say.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Because there's so much fan art of this being done. There's so much talk about this, and
Really? I mean, I see a lot of fan art, but I don't hear a lot of people really talk about Licorice Recoil.
oh, really?
Hmm.
But I have to admit, I liked it a lot. It was really fun.
I liked it a lot too. I mean, I myself even got fan art of Licorice Recoil, so.
Since it's been a while, Albert, do you want to head up on this one? Since I see you saw this one all.
Sure. I'm not fully prepared for it, but yeah. So Licorice Recall, I told you in the previews that we did that this is a original work, and the director, although he's a veteran of the industry, is this is his first time helming everything. Right? He's been like episode directors, but not for the whole thing. So Shingo Adachi, he's actually most known for character design work. And the studio is A1, so he apparently, from what I understand, got to handpick his team to put together this project. And it's kind of an interesting take on cute girls doing cute things, which is working for the secret government and eliminating anything and anyone that would threaten the peace of Japan. So this is essentially Gunslinger Girls, Japan version, with very moe designed characters. They're all high school girls, and they're on this part of the secret organization with a really dumb name, DA Direct Assault, and they're colloquially known as licorice, licorices. So that is kind of the setup, and then incident happens where one of the girls in the team, Takina, she has to essentially disobey orders in order to save one of her comrades, and as a result of that is sent off to work in this cafe, which is a branch of Licorice, but there she meets Chisato, who by all means should be the top agent, but is just working at a cafe doing a lot of odd jobs helping people. And so it's this slightly odd couple situation with a dark undertone of Japanese society being secretly being maintained by extreme violence. So they summarily execute bad people. They're considered terrorists, and people disappear. 3,000 people a year in Japan disappear because they take care of it. Right? There's this weird world, and a terrorist named Majima is trying to stir things up because he doesn't believe in this kind of world order. And backing him, strangely enough, is someone from the Allen Institute, which is a super science. I think they're supposed to. It's a takeoff on the Gates Foundation, who does a lot of variety of charity work all over the world. Bill Gates, and there's actually an Allen, ALLEN Institute here in Seattle, named after the other co-founder. So anyway, the Allen Institute puts their effort and money and resources towards nurturing these top talents in any field, be it medicine or tennis or engineering. And in this case, they decide to sponsor Chisato because she had a medical condition that needed to be fixed. All right, so all this comes out as a backstory later on and plays a major part in the story. So it's cute girls doing cute things. The animation was solid, music was solid, direction was solid, and I won't say that they completely stuck the landing, but it was a good ending. They didn't botch it, so I was fully on board from the get go, and I fully enjoyed every single episode because it's uh, in between a slice of life and this action mystery adventure that they're trying to solve, right? So all that told, I do highly recommend the show. I guess there's some weird backlash from fans about not getting the ending that they wanted. I just learned about this yesterday, that a lot of Chinese fans are very unhappy with the ending and are harassing some of the creators. It's very weird. Don't quite understand it. But you know what? I thought they did a great job with the material, and I always like to support anime original work. And in this case, it paid off. In many cases, it does not, but in this case, it paid off. So I had 13 episodes of totally entertaining show. Thumbs up.
I wasn't expecting that 13th episode though. I thought it was going to wrap up with 12.
Yeah, I thought so too. But I guess 13 is almost half the show is an epilogue. So
What do you suppose those fans wanted as an ending?
they wanted a Yuri ending.
Oh, good.
They wanted a actual physical, I don't know if it was the physical, but actual like confession or something. And that's just not what the show was about. So I don't get it.
I think they saw too many fan arts.
Yeah.
Possibly, because it definitely had that vibe, but that is not how the show was going for me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It had great character design, great characters, voice acting was good. Chisato is a very unique character. I really liked her, and it's offset, the buddy cop system, right? So Chisato is this happy-go-lucky, and then Takina is more of this dour, serious personality, and she eventually warms up to Chisato and holds her own. So, yeah, I just thought it was a really well done anime, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. There's not much else to say. The opening endings were great. The show was great. I mean, there's been other shows with a lot more of this Yuri element that don't end in Yuri. Like Akebi, I swear, was moments I'm like, are they gonna kiss? I didn't really kind of feel that in this show, but surprisingly.
This was more like a buddy cop series. Just happens to be two girls.
Yeah, I mean, you could see how close they got, and I thought that was really nice. But I didn't really kind of see this whole love relationship.
Yeah, it's kind of like sort of in like Hollywood settings where if those two characters are, I don't know, early or middle-aged men, they warm up to have have a beer together at a bar kind of ending. Not they're gonna make out each other kind of ending.
I think it was pretty cool with the relationship they had because they weren't just two girls working for this agency and doing all these jobs to, I guess, balance the peace of the country or whatever. But it showed depth for who they are and the friendship that bloomed between both of them. Like, Takina was very uptight about work when you first meet her.
So I have one question for you guys.
Yeah.
Would
Go
you
ahead.
would you guys buy that parfait Takina made?
Chisato special. Pass.
Okay.
Mhm.
Which one was that one again? Was that the?
Yeah, that was the one that looks like, you know.
Oh yeah, that's right. She was pretty what's it? Proud of that, wasn't she?
You're right. It sold well. You know, the show is not perfect. I'm not saying that. There are really weird things about the organization, and a lot of it doesn't make sense, and whatever, you know. But the core story, the main characters, Takina and Chisato, and then Mizuki and Kurumi, and the teacher, his story was also very interesting, and it was just very natural about some of his past relationships just coming to the fore. It wasn't made a big deal out of. It wasn't. It was just revealed, and it's like, oh, really? And it was just accepted, and I found that very refreshing for a Japanese anime. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it, and yeah, if you haven't watched it, looks like Jessica, I would recommend it to you.
I recommend it as well,
Oh,
Jessica.
it's definitely on my list. You guys were talking it up a lot at the series premiere video that we did, and I was determined to watch it and never got around to it. I'm sorry.
And you just
That's
watch
not counting.
Hataraku Mao-sama instead.
I know. I chose wrong. This definitely sounds like the much better anime by a long shot.
Definitely. It like all the kind of like when they were like doing like buddy stuff was just super wholesome. And just like it made you feel good inside to see like two friends having fun.
Aw.
Shooting terrorists.
Well, yeah.
You know, going to the aquarium, shooting terrorists, all the fun things.
All right, next up we got. Oh, do we really want to go with this next one?
Wait, which one's the next one?
I think it's like my ex-girlfriend is
Oh,
my
this
sister or
one.
something like that.
My stepmom's daughter is my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or my ex-girlfriend is my stepmom's daughter. I
Yeah.
forget how the order is, but it's one of those.
Mama haha no tsurego ga moto kano datta.
Bless you.
Yeah, it looks like myself and what's his face, Neo, has watched this. I honestly wasn't gonna watch this. I didn't really think much of it. I'm like, rom-com, okay. These two, probably not gonna be that interesting, but I'll give it a shot. Watch the first few episodes, and Alex was actually surprised to be entertained by the premise at the beginning. By the end of it, it kind of changed how it started, but at the beginning it was, these two ex-lovers are now brother and sister because of the marriage of their parents, and the whole thing that caught me into it was that they were arguing who was the younger sibling in this case. So they decided to make a game out of it with whoever doesn't act like a proper sibling would have to do whatever the other one told them to do. Or they would get to treat him as a younger sibling. Something weird like that. And so it's kind of funny how they were trying to edge on each other to not act like siblings so that they can one-up the other. And to me, that was entertaining. I thought that was kind of fun. But then it kind of got more into here's the whole backstory on how they met. Here's their love life. This is how they... And then they introduce a new girl, which the main character starts to... I won't say starts to have any feelings for. It's just they really connect on a uh, mental level with their likes and what they just enjoy, and because of other people interfering, they kind of push that girl that he kind of becomes friends with into accepting that she probably loves him, and then tries to get them to become a couple, which doesn't work out. But surprisingly, everything just still stays the same, because it's just really strange how they went through the whole arc. But I mean, it wasn't terrible, the show, but I mean, if I had to choose, I would probably watch something else over this, but I'm not going to say it was bad. What about you, Neo?
Some reason I watched this more than Rent a Girlfriend.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know why.
This is way better than Rent a Girlfriend, I feel, at least for my heart.
So the characters were cringy in their own way, but it wasn't like so cringy that you walk away and got to come back and watch it again. It was like it was pretty good, because it's like, you know, they're in this whole awkward scenario because they're just trying to think of a way to say this without spoiling it. But yeah, they're just in this awkward scenario, and now they're like, you know, part of this one family, and they're trying to just live ordinary lives and just deal with it. And you're just pretty much just watching everything slowly unfold as each episode goes. Like, different scenarios that they have, and then there's like flashbacks or something from the past, and they're just like understanding each other a bit more by the end of the anime. So it didn't go into crazy territory like what's that anime, Domestic Relationship or something or other?
Domestic Girlfriend?
Domestic Girlfriend, yeah, that one. It didn't go crazy like that sort of scenario. I'm glad it didn't. Because I quite liked the pacing of this anime and showing the internal struggles each character kind of had, or the main two characters. So it wasn't bad for me. Like I said, I watched this more than Rent a Girlfriend Season 2.
Yep. The only thing that I would say that made my day, or if anything, was like the books they read. Sometimes they showed you the titles, and you're like, "Oh, he's reading. I want to eat your pancreas." I know that.
Oh yeah, that was a funny little Easter egg.
And even at another point, you know, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend was a book he was reading and stuff like that. So they had some kind of like little things like that I thought was kind of fun. But other than that, yeah, it's a nice rom-com that won't enrage you, I guess, in a way. But let's go less about that and go to the next one, which I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, I enjoyed it still, but I just don't know if I'm like pleased with how it ended. Which is Overlord.
Yeah, we talking about the same thing.
Overlord
Yeah.
4.
What?
Overlord,
You don't like it?
I mean, I liked it, I'm saying, but I'm just not pleased with how it ended.
Oh my god, I totally enjoyed episode 13.
Well,
It
no,
went full on crazy, and I loved every moment of that.
no, 13 was awesome, I'll say. I don't know, I was expecting more. I'm sorry. I was expecting more fighting or something, but, you know, everything was, like, just...
Oh, I see. Yeah, there's a YouTuber who covers all the missed content, and I can see that this season really, they crushed a lot of it into 13 episodes, skipping over a lot of things, cutting things. And consequently, you do not get to see, a climactic battle that happens where entire. Well, I don't want to spoil things, but yeah, and I've always said that one of the reasons I enjoy Overlord is because it's an isekai genre with an OP protagonist, but it's a deconstruction because they ask the question, well, what if that person was the villain? And this season pretty much. I mean, people were saying when season 1 and season 2 dropped that no, he's not the villain. He's still a good guy inside and blah blah. No, he's not. No, he's not. Heinz is completely the villain of this story, and that is what makes this thing interesting to see how far he goes, and as he slowly is losing whatever humanity he still had when he isekai'd into the game world, right? So it's just a fascinating way to construct the world and the character motivations, and I just found it to be, despite the lack of cool action and weird CG action with the underground city and all of that, I just still really enjoyed it because it's very different from watching any other isekai show.
Yeah, so I would agree with you. Definitely check out that YouTube Ani News, because he explains so much of the things that are happening and cut content. Because you'll see a lot of stuff happen on screen that it seems normal or seems like something interesting, but he'll go in depth about why that particular item was used and what its effects are, and it makes a lot more sense into why certain things happened the way they did. And watching that after every single episode was very eye-opening to me in a lot of scenes and stuff. So if you're watching this, definitely check out that guy's YouTube channel, because it has a lot of really helpful information about what they cut, how these characters at certain points viewed things, and it was just so helpful with all that extra information if you're not reading the books. And I believe they skipped, according to Ani News, they skipped 2 full volumes to get to the second or the last arc of the show, and supposedly those volumes are going to be put into a movie.
Ooh.
So we'll get to see what happens in that timeline that we missed, and but yeah, this show, like, the only thing, like I said, the only part that I thought was disappointing about the end was I was expecting more conflict. I was expecting more action, but everything kind of fell a little lower than my expectations. And it's not the show's fault. It's just my own perspective of what I was hoping to see. So don't let that count against this show. But I mean, it was an amazing season this time around. Better than season 2.
I never read a novel, so when they mentioned and interacted briefly with Albedo's sister, I'm like, she had a sister? Where did this come from? And I felt that there's a lot of that on this season, more so than before.
Yeah, I think it was in season 1, the 3rd arc with Sheltier. In the books, they introduced her, and you got to learn more about her.
Yeah, anime skipped all of that, so that came out of nowhere to me.
Yeah, so, but it still wasn't like that big of a thing. I think You know Albedo has two sisters, right?
Yeah, so I heard.
That was surprising.
Yeah, so...
I had forgotten about that, to be honest.
Yeah, so supposedly, like, they mentioned it once, I think it was like... What was it, Sebas? Or someone left one of...
Right, the one is working for Sebastian.
Like, Rebedo or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that's still hidden, still a lot of information that we can hope to get in the future. They're still making the books. I think they're up to volume 14 is what they just covered, and volume 15 is coming out soon. So it'll probably be a while before we get more anime, as we're waiting for more content to come out.
Isn't that supposed to be the last volume?
Volume 15?
Yeah, I thought he was wrapping it up and he extended by one more volume. So I thought that 15 would be the last volume.
Oh, really? Ooh.
So looks like Overlord Season 5 might be the end of it.
I'll have to see.
Well, let's see. I have it written down how many volumes the series is going to be. Let me find that.
I can definitely say I quite enjoyed Overlord Season 4 though, but I think I had to... I think I had to ask someone a few things about this season, because I just didn't quite understand what was going on. I don't know if that was just me not paying full attention, because, like, I was never really, like, 100% invested in Overlord. It's always been a good watch, but season 4 for me has been pretty cool. Like, we're finally seeing a particular development for characters that have been hinting towards for, like, the longest time, and we see the outcome of certain, I guess, plots and scheming and stuff like that. But I think yeah, for me, I had to get a few things explained a little bit.
All right. Well, that's Overlord. The next few titles, I'm kind of gonna ask if you guys want to discuss it before just putting it up there. So, do you guys want to talk about Prima Dolls, Dragon and Neo?
I stopped halfway because I heard that you wanted to continue watching it, so I stopped halfway. But all up to the point that I've seen so far in Prima Dolls, I've enjoyed.
Anything from you, Neo, or just we can go on to
I
the
quite
next
enjoyed
one?
this anime. I'll just keep it brief. Very cute anime. It's kind of like how what's it called? Violet Evergarden sort of scenario, where it's like after the war, because they're these dolls and they were designed for war purposes. So now it's just this whole thing of they're trying to find themselves in the new world, I guess you could say, without war. And there is a tragic moment in it, and there's really wholesome moments. I would say it's not a must watch, but definitely something to adventure into.
All right. Vinny, did you want to talk about Luminous Witches, or do you want to skip past that?
Yeah, skip past that. I just checked a few episodes, just for the heck of it.
Then after that, we got the maid one. My maid is mysterious, or whatever you call that.
My recently hired maid is mysterious.
Yes.
I would say just read the manga. I'm kind of not having the motivation to continue watching it very much.
Okay, and then next after that, we got Shadow House 2.
Season 2, yeah.
Jess, you up?
Yeah. It's really good, but I can't really talk about the finer points because it will spoil it for you.
So I have a
So, have any of you guys seen the first season?
No.
No?
I guess
It's
just
in my
you-
backlog.
Do you like kind of creepy, unsettling, but also at the same time really freaking cute? Because that's sort of what Shadow House is going for.
Do we have tragedy? If it's tragedy, I'll watch it.
yes.
I think in the second season, yeah, you could argue that there's tragedy. And I am saying, and I would like to hear your opinion, that the second season's probably better than the first. I find that it's it's more interesting. It's less centered on Emilico and more on Kate and what she's all about. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I agree with you on that because they uncover a lot more on the second season.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely. Because I just finished watching the last of it last night, and practically after the last episode, I'm like, I want more. I want more. Give me more. So yeah,
Yes.
I agree with you with the second season picking up.
And you owe it to yourself, even if you have no intention of watching the anime, to listen to the ending theme song for the second season. It's beautiful. It's by Claris. The last anime I know off the top of my head that they did was Munto, which probably me and maybe 2 other people remember. But that was also really pretty. So give the ending theme a listen.
You said Claris?
Yeah, Claris. Claris.
They did Rikuro Surikoyo.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I
the
don't know
opening.
why, but what's it? Shadow House, like opening and endings, both seasons.
Oh, so
It's been
good.
Quite enjoyable.
I think for me it's because they're thematically attached to the show. Is that you feel that the artist wrote those songs specifically for Shadow's House. It's not just, oh, hey, we have a song, let's slap it on an anime and call it a day. Everything's tied in really well.
I think they actually played Tank. You know how you were talking about that festival thing, the can't remember what it's called, the Aniplex or the thing you said you watched twice. They actually played a song from this anime on that too.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
So that,
Anifest Online.
yeah. I can't remember if it was the opening or the ending, but I do remember hearing the song for this. But yeah, this anime, like, when the first season came out, I was not interested, and I didn't watch it until the next next actual season had commenced, sort of thing. And yeah, I just got hooked on it, surprisingly, for this anime. It's so interesting, the concept that they've put for this. Like, it first gave me a little bit of like Promised Neverland sort of vibes, but it's just its own sort of thing, and it's just, I don't know, it's hard to convey what I'm trying to think of, but like it's just brought me into it, and I just want to watch more of it.
Me too. I'm going to be getting the manga because I'm just so invested in everything that's going on. And it's one of those shows that you think about, oh yeah, it would totally suck to be a living doll and blah, 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 blah. You know that logically. But when you really sit down and take that situation to its logical extreme, it's really frickin' dark. And the whole show's kind of like that, is there's this little veneer of cuteness, but underneath it, the characters have teeth. And I would say if you like gothic horror, you owe it to yourself to watch this.
I'm curious to find out if they've announced a 3rd season or not. I feel like it
Yeah.
might be a little early for it.
Me too.
Maybe
I
picking
hope
up
so.
the manga would be a good idea.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess I'm going to join you guys in this dark spiraling hole, which is Shadow House, and check it out, definitely. Are they-
Word
are-
of warning: the first season does get a little bogged down in the second half. I think it's a bit slow there.
are these like 2 seasons of like 12 episodes, the average? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah, 12 or 13.
Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? Will Ayumu make his move? Anyone want to talk about that or not? Just skip it.
You can skip it.
All right. Next up is, I kind of want to just skip this, but I have to ask. Anyone
Oh
want
my
to talk
God.
about my isekai life? I gained a second character class that became the strongest sage in the world.
I
I-
binge watched this.
I literally didn't continue after the first 2 episodes that came out when it did, so I have nothing to really say.
Should we just skip it, or did you want to talk about Neo?
Do you have anything, Vinny or Albert, about this? Because I found this anime so freaking funny the way it turned out.
I think the title is long enough to be self-explanatory in my book, so I'll skip.
Yeah, I only watched the first episode and dropped it. So, if you mean it was funny in an ironic way, then sure. I'm not.
So pretty much what you saw in the first episode is just like the whole anime. It's a guy that is super powered, like he's so overpowered it's ridiculous, and every place he goes to ends up having some sort of disaster that he solves. And the thing I found really funny about this anime is I feel like they just cut and pasted animation in each episode. Like, he would have this dramatic sort of spell casting thing, but it was just the same. Like, I just binge watched this and thought, okay, I'm done. It was not good. That's all I really got to say for this. There was a story, and there was like this whole plot on being like there's this cult villainry sort of thing, but it was just boring. It was boring.
Yeah, all I have to say is I was reading the manga and I dropped it because I was like, ugh. Then I heard,
No.
then I saw the anime and then I'm like, I saw the first episode. I'm like, oh, yep, it's the same. Okay, I could not watch it.
I can't believe how much animation they just copied and pasted throughout the whole anime.
So next up, sorry, it is
You know it's a troublesome when Tank just drops it.
So Albert, did you want to say anything about Teppen?
Nope.
Okay, then after that we got the Smile of Arnostia, this animation, which I just call the Soon Soon anime.
uh,
You guys want to skip it or talk about it?
I dropped it.
I haven't even touched it since the last time we watched that one episode, so I'm okay with skipping.
Okay. I mean, I thought it was going to be fun, but it just didn't. And next up is, I guess, the other big title, right?
This is the one that I was saying is like, oh, this one seems like it's more like bigger for the anime of the season, just because of like how like the whole atmosphere and the music, and I think I just heard a lot more people kind of talking about this rather than Licorice Recoil. That's why I said Licorice Recoil would be a runner-up, but I hear more about Call of the Night.
So this title is black and we have a dark background because it's nighttime in our scene. So it's really hard to see this title, but yeah. Yofukashi no Yuta, or Call of the Night as they have it listed in High Dive. And yeah, vampires. After watching the first 2 episodes, I was like, I can't take it, and I went and got the manga and read it all. So, so I'm spoiled. Oh.
That's
How far
okay.
did they cover?
Huh? I'm sorry?
How far did they cover compared to the manga? How many volumes did the anime cover?
Oh, I don't know, honestly. I didn't keep track of, like, I mean, at the beginning, I was like, oh, this is all the way up to chapter 12. Oh, this is all the way. But then after halfway through, I just kind of stopped counting. I do know they're probably like, I think they're under 50 chapters, but there's like over 130 chapters to this manga.
Okay.
And I was surprised where they kind of left it off, because it's like in the manga, this is a whole big arc of a story that's going on. And we kind of ended at the very beginning of it, so. But other than that, everything was pretty much as I remember in the manga. They may have changed a few scenes, but I do feel that they did cut one thing out, but I'm not going to say anything about it in case they bring it back in the next season. And or maybe I'm just mistaken, because I only went through it once, so maybe my memory's not as great as it was from the beginning. But how did you all feel about this show?
I've been enjoying. I've been having like a good laugh, and then some of the animation scenes are just super like well done, and I've just been having a blast. And like the opening and ending is just great bangers.
I enjoyed this anime way too much. To me, this Call of the Night, I don't know why, but it was just like the one anime for this season that I was just super keen for each episode to come out. Like, I was gonna read the manga before this came out, but then I saw the anime was announced. So I ended up obviously watching the anime, and I really enjoyed it. It's this whole thing of like how this what is he, like a middle schooler or something? He's like, I can't remember, like, was he like having some sort of like problem with school, or like he got bored? I think he got bored. Was he
Yeah, he
bored
just
with
didn't want
school?
to be. Yeah, he just didn't want to
Yeah.
be bothered with it anymore.
Yeah, so he goes out at night. I can't remember why he went out at night, because I would have to go and rewatch it, but like, you know, he meets Nazuna, and everything else is history pretty much. Like, it seems like this anime, like, I don't normally read or watch something if I've already, like, you know, if I've watched the anime, I don't go and read the manga. It's rare that I do that. But after watching the, what was it? Was it 12 or 13 episodes for this anime? I can't remember. The last episode. After watching the last episode, I was like, alright, I gotta go read the manga for this. Especially after I saw what the manga looks like. Like, to me, Call of the Night was really enjoyable.
It's only thing really stuck out to me that's not mentioned is that I don't know how much of the background is drawn abstract or sparsely by design, or how much is because of budgets or other issues. Because sometimes it feels as if those are drawn intentionally to look that blank and very lacking on details, but sometimes it feels as if they just need to meet the deadline, and as long as the characters are drawn and animated properly, they'll just overlook the background, and hopefully the people doesn't notice that kind of feel to it. So it's kind of a bouncing in between episodes. Some episodes felt like it was done on purpose, and some episodes didn't. But other than that, I like the overall moodiness of the whole series. It's mostly always at the nighttime, and even then it has a little bit of different vibes to it depending on how each episode was progressing. I felt that was a pretty neat in a way that it's not just pitch black, it's not just blah. Sometimes it feels playful, sometimes it feels very blank, and sometimes it feels as if there's always something lurking by. I thought they did a good job on portraying that.
I just took a quick look. Yeah, it seems like they got through 46 chapters out of 143.
Okay. Thanks.
And like I mentioned, they kind of skipped a few little chapters, but I could see why they skipped it, because it wasn't like that big of an importance, but they were still kind of fun to watch, or read, I should say. Yeah, Call of the Night. I highly recommend it if you can find it. It's on High Dive, and it's really, really fun, especially just the relationship between Nazuna and Ko. I find the way they interact with each other to be hilarious, and there's a lot of moments that just stick in my mind that just really fun, like that moment where they're on the watches and having fun for the first time and such. And by the end, we are introduced to a whole new cast of people, and hopefully with the next season, I don't know when that's going to come, we'll get to see how the story goes with everyone else.
I think it's popular enough it will get a second season. It seems it's more popular with overseas, because on the Japanese side, Licorice Recoil seems to have been most of the talk of town. But there's a really good fan base for Call of Night. There's also a very vocal minority opposed to it, because 14-year-old and a vampire of unknown age, but at least several decades, right? So they're yammering up the pedo angle, but it's a vampire and it's a fantasy, so okay. Then it's problematic for any vampire story, right? So it doesn't bother me as much as some other things. I personally hate, and I vehemently hate teacher-student romance that shows up in anime. But that's because it's reflecting a reality that I don't want to see. But in this case, it is vampires. I'm sorry, vampires aren't real as far as I know. So there is that. And everything else about the show was very enjoyable. Even with their deformed chibi moments, it fits. I thought the voice acting was really good. Nazuna is voiced by Sora Amamiya, and she's most famous for doing probably Aqua from Konosuba, but she's a veteran, many characters. And she makes Nazuna a lot of fun to watch and listen to. Music, everyone's talked about how good the music is. I don't think I ever skipped the ending. I did skip the OP, but the ED I pretty much listened every time. I actually have it. I copied a version of it, and it's in my playlist. And the visuals for background art is outstanding. So yeah, I also recommend it.
Oh wow, she also does the voice for Chizuru in Rent-A-Girl.
Yes, I don't want to mention that, but yes, she does.
Really? Didn't know that.
Well, I'm surprised with her casting. Wow, okay. Yeah, wonderful show. Definitely has, I think it has a decent rewatch value. There's a lot of shows out there that you watch it for the first time, it's really good, it's really fun, but this one I think I can see myself rewatching it again in a while.
Alright, is that it?
I think so. I mean, we have Assassination Classroom, which is actually...
What?
Huh? Classroom of the Elite.
Sorry. I don't know why I said Assassination Classroom. Sorry. I was thinking of something. Yeah, we have Classroom of the Elite Season 2, which I thought was okay. I mean, it was a fun continuation of how it started. And I then realized that there was a manga out there. And the manga is actually kind of, at least where I was reading it, behind the anime. And they're so different from each other. And how the character looks and how things are going. And the manga explains so much more of how inner things and why certain things are happening. So if you're kind of confused on why certain stuff went the way it went, maybe you should check out the manga because it explains a little more for you. And definitely the light novel probably explain a whole lot more for you. But I would have to say I was surprised by the second to last episode. Because I at that point I was like expecting this epic, hopefully, fight in Overlord. Because there's what was going on at the end. And then to have Classroom of the Elite show this amazing fight animation to me, I was like, whoa, this... I don't know why it surprised me and why it looked so good to me, but it's... I don't know, it's just a fun show with that still progresses with the classes against each other, and it just, I don't know, it's just, to me it was fun. I don't know how I can recommend it to anyone, but it was just a very enjoyable show. What do you think, Neo?
So I'm glad it got a second season. So I was already like hoping it would turn out good. It's very like what to expect from this anime is expect it being slow and that it's a lot of scheming behind the scenes and like getting people to like how do I put it? I'm trying to think of the word. Manipulate others into obtaining like the goal that they're after. Yeah, there was a big fight scene at the end. Like to me, it was good, but it wasn't remarkable. It's not an anime that I'm like gonna go, oh, this was awesome, go check it out. It's to me, it just is what it is.
So I guess that's it for this season. I have to say I feel so cheated because I have not been checking chat, and you guys have been typing up a storm. I missed all this.
You need to focus on hosting.
I'm sorry, man. I gotta go back and read everything you guys were talking about. I forgot all about that. I was too busy looking at this list. But yeah, everyone, thank you for hanging out with us today. This was OreAni, the end of 2022 summer. Of course, we'll be back probably within 3 weeks for the beginning of the fall season. We already have, I think I've only seen like probably 3 or 4 shows that are already out right now that you can check out. Like, I honestly did not know Uzaki was getting a second season, and episode 1's already out.
Already out.
Yeah.
Spy Family Core 2.
Oh yes.
And then a couple new ones are out already, like Reincarnated as a Sword, The Beast Tamer, Another Villainess anime. But yeah.
So yeah, join us and we'll talk about what shows that we find entertaining, and hopefully you can join us in chat and let us know what you think about the shows. Other than that, anyone have any parting words to say?
It was always great to be invited here, so thank you.
I didn't end up trashing Cyberpunk on stream, but if you want to see that, go to our Discord channel. It's a Discord exclusive.
All right. So with that said, everyone, bye-bye.
Bye.